It's been a year since we received our last build set for the Masters of the Universe line, and that was Battle Bones, a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive that, yes, I know, I still owe you a video on. At Toy Fair earlier this year, an event that now seems so long ago, we were given a peek at the new building sets Mega Construx would be rolling out this year and into next. Here is the first of what we were promised. Hi everyone, I'm Mac, and this is Mega Construx Masters of the Universe, Cat Vs Roton. And just a warning, it may not go as well as you'd like.
By the power of Grayskull!
Hello friends, it's been a while since I've been able to dive into the world of Eternia with you, and I couldn't be happier that today we finally get to revisit the land of sword and sorcery that is Masters of the Universe. We have a few different things to look at with this set, so let's start off with the action figures themselves. We've received numerous renditions of He-Man since the Masters of the Universe line has started. I even touched on this in the last video about the He-Man vs. Beast-Man 2-pack. And here we have another release of He-Man for the line, but at least he's different in some way. And he is modeled after what was arguably the most popular He-Man variant of the vintage line, Battle Armor He-Man. He-Man never appeared in the mini-comic wearing his battle armor, so there's never been any in-story explanation as to where the armor came from or why he wears it. As far as to where it comes from, I think it's safe to assume that He-Man could call upon the power of Grayskull to further augment his already great power, as he did with his Thunder Punch pack and Flying Fists. Now, the Battle Armor He-Man variant came out before the mini-comics, and the toy line dove completely into the Filmation lore of the franchise, so it would have been interesting to see how they would have rationalized He-Man wearing battle armor in the original lore. And as a side note, no Mega Construx. We don't need a Thunder Punch or Flying Fists variant of He-Man right now. The Cat vs. Roton Battle Armor He-Man is a welcome addition to the numerous vanilla He-Men that we've received in this line. Part of him is based off of the Castle Grayskull mold of He-Man, as we can see with his left arm. The bracelet is larger than normal and more resembles the 5-inch vintage figure. It is also molded to the forearm of the figure rather than a clip-on accessory. The torso of Battle Armor He-Man is molded in silver and then covered with a heavy armor torso piece that really bulks up the already buff buck and gives him an impressive battle-ready look. The mold and coloration of the rest of the micro action figure is more of the same of what we've received from He-Man figures before. For accessories, Battle Armor He-Man only comes with his battle axe, no shield or sword of power. While this may be disappointing to some, remember, we have plenty of these accessories from other versions that we can outfit BA He-Man easily. It's worth noting that with the heavy silver armor, Battle Armor He-Man looks fantastic outfitted with the silver axe and shield from the He-Man vs. Beast-Man 2-pack from the last video. I can't tell you how jazzed I am that we finally have received Mer-Man with this set. In the 5-inch vintage series of Masters of the Universe line, Mer-Man was one of the first release action figures, was a lead henchman of Skeletor's in both the mini-comics, DC Comics, and Filmation series, and I was never able to get him when I was a kid, one of my greatest regrets of my adolescent life. Longtime viewers of the channel know the original mini-comic lore of Masters of the Universe is my favorite incarnation of the franchise, so we're going to take a look at that version of Mer-Man for this video. We are introduced to Mer-Man in He-Man and the Power Sword, the very first mini-comic that came out, where he appears as a background character for one page, and then again he plays a minor role in the next issue, The King of Castle Grayskull. It's not until the third comic, Battle in the Clouds, that Mer-Man takes a more direct role in the stories. Here we see him rob He-Man of his power suit and the Sky Sled, and is in fact the only evil warrior to be seen for most of the story. He comes back again in The Vengeance of Skeletor, where we see him team up with Beast-Man, overpower He-Man, and then toss his unconscious body into the sea. He-Man of course survives, but it is also in this issue we learn that Mer-Man's fishbone sword emits a stream of icy salt water that is capable of freezing its targets. Later in that same issue, when Skeletor blasts Mer-Man with his energy blade, and the amphibious man begins to dehydrate and die, Mer-Man turns the sword on himself and uses the icy salt water to rejuvenate his body. After this issue, Mer-Man takes a back seat among Skeletor's evil warriors, appearing now and then as a background character, and never really commanding much of the story until Masks of Power, where he is forced to team up with He-Man and Fisto. In the early books, Mer-Man was somewhat of the opposite of Beast-Man. Whereas Beast-Man was seen as a loyal servant and an outcast of his people, Mer-Man was the plotting one, the one that seemed to want to overthrow Skeletor and lead the forces of evil himself. In later sources, it is stated that Mer-Man is not just one of the undersea people of Eternia, but that he is the ruler of an undersea kingdom, a king in his own right, a king that is pressed into the service of the evil lord. This would explain why Mer-Man was so eager to usurp him. Mer-Man's Mega Construx figure is a great representation of the villain. Molded in his original green with his classic head sculpt, Mer-Man legitimately looks like a shrunk-down version of the 5-inch vintage figure. His yellow fishbone armor is highly detailed for a character this small, and I have to say I love the attention Mega Construx gave to both his and Beast-Man's armor pieces. They really help to set the characters off. The only difference between this figure and the vintage 5-inch figure is that the original Mer-Man had orange trunks and this one has yellow. For accessories, Mer-Man comes with his iconic fishbone sword, a piece that Mega Construx did a wonderful job on as well, giving such a small piece such detail, managing to give it that same corncob look that the vintage figure had, and truthfully, I think this one looks better. Mer-Man also comes with a trident, not something his vintage figure came with, but an accessory that was given to us first, I believe, with his 2000X series action figure. There's no story or purpose behind the trident. I don't think it even has a name like the Havoc Staff or the Staff of Avion. It was just another weapon that was packed in with Mer-Man because, well, he's an aquatic character, and aquatic characters get tridents, right? Like all micro-action figures that come with build sets, neither He-Man nor Mer-Man comes with a name-plated stand, just these sand green plate pieces for them to stand on. And in the instance of Mer-Man, this is a shame, because it would have been nice to have a stand with his name on it to put up there with the rest of your figures. As the name of the set suggests, we also get Battle Cat with this set, and this figure has a very breakout beast's feel to him, and that's not a bad thing. He has a fair amount of articulation to him, especially with the neck and head area, though his jaw doesn't articulate. I found this surprising, but I wasn't particularly upset about it. In Battle Cat's original incarnation, he was a semi-sentient creature that lived in the forests that would go to He-Man's aid whenever he was needed, and this figure, even without the armor on, is very much that character. Sorry, Filmation fans, there's no Cringer here. With his armor on, Battle Cat has that classic and ferocious look about him that we all know from his original mold. As with almost all the builds with Masters of the Universe line, Battle Cat is well scaled to the micro-action figures of the line, and with He-Man mounted on him, you get a number of classic poses out of them. Battle Cat even comes with a large sand green plate piece to be used as a stand for him. It's worth noting that only Battle Cat's hind paws are sporting peg holes. And that brings us to the piece that probably most people bought the set for, Roton. Roton was one of the first vehicles for the Evil Warriors, along with the Landshark and Panther. While he was packaged and advertised as a ground vehicle, Roton never appeared in the mini-comics, and when it was introduced in the Filmation series, it was shown to be a flying vehicle, the Evil Warrior counterpart to the Wind Raider. This became such a staple of the Roton vehicle that it was even used on the box art of the Masters of the Universe Classics Wind Raider as the flying enemy. When I was a kid and saw Roton flying, I loved it. If it wasn't for Roton, the Evil Warriors would have had no flying vehicles at all. The Mega Construx build of Roton is chunky, to say the least. It's very compact, very small, and to be honest, a figure barely fits in the cockpit of the vehicle. The front build of Roton is really good and a wonderful example of the classic toy with the fanged teeth and the demonic eyes. Eyes which, by the way, are printed pieces and not stickers, something Mega Construx always excels at. Mounted here on the sides are a pair of stud launchers that are built in different ways from what we've seen before, and they do a decent job of launching their projectiles into battle. The buzzsaw piece that surrounds the vehicle itself is a large singular piece and not something brick built. By doing this, not only is the piece solid, but it allows you to do this. On the classic toy, there was a single wheel on the bottom of the Roton that spun the blade when you rolled it across the floor. On the underside of the Mega Construx build of the vehicle are two wheels, one larger than the other with a rubber tire that pushes up on the saw piece to make it spin when you roll it across the ground. Now, as I said before, Roton is chunky, very chunky. In fact, it's squat and small, very, very small. This is disappointing to me. If you get this set and love Roton, I'm happy for you, I really am, but for being the first vehicle to be rolled out for the Evil Warriors, this is a disappointment to me, especially after we saw the detail and care they put into the Wind Raider when it first came out, being scaled to the figures in a way that was much better than the classic toy. The Roton, on the other hand, is almost comically small compared to the figures themselves. Underneath the buzzsaw is a thick build that I think brings the body too high off the ground. I really would have loved to see this vehicle a little longer and a lot lower to the ground. For the great job they did with the Wind Raider and even Battle Bones, the end result for Roton is just a letdown. In addition to my disappointment in the Roton build itself, there is also this. Both the hands of He-Man and Mer-Man are showing stress signs in their hands and already look like they're ready to crack. I didn't notice it until after I shot the He-Man vs. Beastman 2-pack, but the He-Man figure from that pack is showing stress signs as well. This is something I didn't really have an issue with until recently, and I can't help but think it may have something to do with closing the Canadian factory and moving everything to a new plant in China that isn't accustomed to Mega's standards of quality. Now, when I've had faulty or broken pieces of micro action figures in the past, Mega has always been good about getting replacement parts out to me. Often they just ship entirely new figures. But to have this happen so much in such a short span of time is not only disappointing, but concerning as well. So, Mega Construx, if you're watching this, you can do better, guys. And honestly, if anybody has had this problem before now with hands showing stress signs or cracks, please let me know in the comments below. Let me know if this is something that has been going on and I've just been lucky so far, or if this is a new problem that has cropped up. The combination of the faulty molding on the hands combined with the small build of the Roton, I feel like this is an overpriced set at $25, especially only being a 173-piece set. And yes, I know it comes with 2 figures and Battle Cat, but the cost of this set versus the quality is too high. This should be a $20 set like the Wind Raider Attack was when it came out. However, I know a lot of people are going to want this just for Battle Cat and Mer-Man alone. I know everyone's knee-jerk reaction is to check out Amazon for something like this, but the sellers on Amazon, including the store that calls itself Mega, are moving this for $5 more than its retail price. My advice is to check out Big Bad Toy Store. You can get this set as well as pre-order Panther at Point Dread and the next Masters of the Universe Hero Wave 2 figures. They're not sponsoring this video or anything, I just think they're the best for ordering Mega Construx Masters of the Universe pieces, so check them out, the link is in the description below. So good luck finding the set, my friends, and play well. Stay healthy, stay safe, and as always, thank you for watching.